Today we are going to be sketching with one continuous line to get over that fear. And as well as getting over that fear of making a mistake, which too many of us are paralysed by, we might also discover that continuous lines add a lot of fun and interest to the page as well. Now, the reason for this is a continuous line forces us to simplify. It makes us make a lot of decisions, and it gives us an excuse. That mistake wasn't me. I had to do it. I was doing a continuous line. So all you'll need for this is a pen. I'm going to use this one. And we're going to dive into the surprisingly simple technique of continuous lines. So let's look down at my page. I have here a little photo. Now this photo is a photo taken by Colin, actually. Colin from Woodward Watercolours. And it is of some lovely roofs in Grantchester, a beautiful village near me, famous for lots and lots of murders.
You are all right, aren't you, Sydney?
It's a TV programme. It's also a really lovely scene to get started with our continuous line, because the technique I want to show you has us work from one side across the top of the image, back through the middle, and then across the bottom. So we're going to capture the silhouette, the details, and then the foreground or the finishing touches. 3 steps. Really simple. So our starting point, the top left, we want to be really light and loose. But what we don't want to do is be cotton woolly about our lines. We want to be moving with purpose. So what I mean by that is if we get to a shape, we don't sort of round it off. We go, look, there's a little angle, and we go for it. Down here, angle, we go for it. I don't want us to slowly swoop around and create all these curves where actually things are architectural and geometric. That said, the glory of this continuous line is it doesn't matter if I get this chimney a little bit short. For example, look, it's quite tall here, but my version is a bit short. It doesn't matter if I sort of do some accidental marks, if I go back on myself. All of this stuff becomes part of the excitement and interest of our scene, as long as we're doing it purposefully. So while we're sort of moving through our scene, what we're trying to do is always be moving for a reason. Even if we get it wrong, we're not scribbling and we're not rushing. Now, part of our process here, part of our key step of moving through our scene is, look, we're identifying this chimney, this chimney, this chimney, and I'm going to refer to these as my anchor points. You might have heard of the idea of anchor measurements, for example, as a really simple way of measuring your scene. It's actually something I cover, little plug here, in my free course, linked down below. But it's a very simple sort of idea where you get these key parts of your scene and you use those as references for how big everything else should be. With our continuous line, what we're going to do, we've done this top line, we're then going to work our way across and go, right, here, look, this chimney is just to the left of this edge of the roof. So I know where to come in here. Then I can see these 3 little windows, they're all to the right, they're over this way compared to our chimneys. So if I just get in these kind of little roof shapes, I can then work my way up to the chimney. And do you notice how now what's happening is we're focusing more in onto these details and textures. Firstly, it was just the swooping line, getting that angled feel coming across the page. And now, look, we can see this window, it's approximately underneath this chimney. If we drew a straight line, it cuts through this window, so we can place our window. The reason we can place our window is this concept of that anchor point, that kind of key landmark coming across. Where's our next window? Just to the left of this one. So I know how far to continue my roof until I'm to the left of this chimney, and then I can find my little window. Now, this is a continuous line. So there's lots of decisions we're making along the way. One of those decisions is how many details to put in. So rather than actually drawing every window pane, you might notice I'm kind of either just doing a simple shape, or in this instance, I've decided to do some up and down kind of hatching type marks. Is it strictly hatching? Is it not? I'm not sure. But they are hatching type marks, which give us that blocked in feel of a window without the fuss. Just a little decision we have to make, something to simplify our scene. Underneath, right, we're coming to the foreground or the final finishing touches. Notice we have to connect somehow, don't we? I ended up here, but I need to come down here. So that little line, it has to be, it's not a mistake. To do our continuous line, we literally have to do that. Underneath, we've got these kind of edges of windows, we've got a doorway. And again, we're just cross-checking, we're going, right, if we go up, what's above that door? Above that door is the window, but the window is just to the left of our door. So everything is not going to be correct. And I know that will trigger some people. I get all sorts of very supportive comments. And then I also get some people who just don't gel with this style, and they say very kind things to me on YouTube. There you go. The nature of the beast, isn't it? But for some of you, you'll go, you know what? Losing a little bit of accuracy, being good enough is good enough. And being good enough might be what you need to do more. And to go from being good enough to being really happy with your art, which I think is what we're all aiming for. There we go. Then I've got this last bit of the scene there. And I'm going to just do that, a strong line, come forward. And there's my signature. And we have the essence of our scene, all in one line, using the top, the middle, the bottom, and this concept of anchor points. Now, there's a cheat here. There's a little cheat in the system, because this was all one line. But what we can now do is come back and add some bolder lines. Now, choosing where to add bolder lines is a topic of great uncertainty because there's no formula for it. Now, I have got a new course coming out on sketchloose.co.uk, my place for my courses, where I cover all of these ink techniques, all of these common questions in a lot of detail. To check it out, I'll pop a link down below when it's live. But also, if you just want to join in my free course, we cover a lot of the ideas, like I mentioned, things like measuring, characterful lines. As a shortcut, as a starter for 10 today, our bold lines are going to go in important areas, places we want people to look. If we say, for example, these chimneys are quite interesting, well, I probably want to add my little cheat, because it's not a continuous line anymore, bold lines onto these chimneys. So if I just make those a little bit bolder by pressing a little bit harder with my pen, or if you're using a fountain pen, if you're using a fine liner, just by grabbing a bolder fine liner, we can bring out their structure a little bit. I've smudged the ink a bit, my bad. Next, we're looking for like key structure. So where's a bit woolly? Where did I not, I mentioned at the beginning, getting that angular feel. Where did I not quite get that angular feel? And another bit is where are there shadows? So here, look, shadows under here, shadows under here, shadows under this roof. Now, these bits are the other places where we're going to find bold lines potentially really helpful in just giving our scene a little bit more of that structure, that idea of certainty and confidence. We don't want to bolden everything, because if we bolden every line, we end up with the sort of opposite effect of nothing being the focus. Suddenly everything's just flat. So we're trying to just pick out a few places and always take those little steps back before you go into the next line. Little step back and review what's happening before you dive in. Think about what's important to your image, not just getting through it, but stopping before you've gone too far. It's actually a really important skill to learn. Now, what else can we do? Well, another little step might be, we did some hatching already, but we could do a little bit more hatching. We can find some more of those shadows. We've suggested them with our kind of bold line. And under those bold lines, maybe we want to support the idea that it's dark, that it's in shadow. Maybe we want to find some invented shadows on the sides of our chimneys, for example. That gives us a little bit more of a 3D feel. We can follow that through by giving ourselves the same shadows on the kind of left-hand side of all of our houses. Now, I mentioned that Colin took this photo. I'm not going to blame him for the bad light, but there isn't very good light in this photo, and sometimes that's actually freeing because we don't have to copy a perfect photo. We get to make a lot of our own decisions. Over here, let's do some very simple marks to give that tree a little bit more purpose again. And maybe another place where bold lines are really useful in windows, or in this case, I'm not doing lines, am I? I'm doing blocked in areas. Just providing that hopefully tiny bit more certainty, purpose, idea that what I'm doing is intentional. We get that from that confident movement of the line. All right, that's our continuous line done. And we can do one more thing, of course, can't we? There's one more bit of fun we can have on this page. That is the addition of some colours. So, pot of water, handful of colours over here, and a ludicrously large brush. Don't need a sort of brush this big, but it does help. It gives us more water carrying capacity, which leads to much more fluid colours much more easily. When I say a couple of colours, well, we could actually just try and do it with one. So I'm going to choose a colour called Tundra Violet, and I'm going to just splitter and splatter that onto my page. Bit slapdash, almost the definition of slapdash. But with our big brush, we've got plenty of water, which means we've got time to come back into that slapdash, splatter of water, and give ourselves something interesting happening on the page. Just, I'm going to call this enhancing the line rather than trying to do anything like super clever or detailed. This is just the idea of enhancing the line. I might then swap to a slightly smaller brush or a much smaller brush and take a little bit of our pigment and just find some of those more delicate shadows. There we go, a few little touches here and there. And maybe we say, you know what, we do want a little touch of another colour in there. So why don't we find a tiny bit of warmth? So this is just using a little bit actually of lunar earth coming in to a couple of places. And go on then, one more colour. Gonna get out some lavender, pop that into some windows, touch it into the sky to provide another bit of another bit of texture. That's what I'm trying to say. Neaten the sky up down to the very edge there. A little bit of green where we've got a couple of little plants, haven't we? So we can get some brighter tones in, and then a tiny bit more of our Tundra Violet. Double down on those shadows. Done. That is my version of this scene. So don't forget, have a little play along. Get a pen out, try a continuous line, see if that idea of going across the top, the middle, the bottom, remembering those anchor points helps. And if you want to check out a more detailed approach at looking at this, then check out my website.